1 year ago, the GT4 battle at the SCCA Runoffs being touted as a battle of the ages. This is 50-year-old Wilson Wright on the outside of row 1. A college senior, Scott Culbertson, was on pole. 2 more young guns just behind. Wright and Culbertson touched on lap 1, opening the door for Keith Grant. He went from 3rd to the lead. On lap 5, though, a bid for the lead by Culbertson costly. He and Grant touch. The impatience of youth opening the door, allowing the experience of Wilson Wright to take over. He pushed his 9 car into the lead. In the end, that experience prevailed. Wright grabbed his 2nd GT4 championship, his 3rd overall title at the Runoffs. Will age be dominant again this year?
The GT machines put on some of the best racing you'll see here at the Runoffs. This is GT4, 2,000 pounds, about 200 horsepower. This is the car of Lance Stout. He's the Northern Pacific champion this year. 4 wins in national events. Hasn't yet been to victory lane here at the Runoffs. This, though, Warren Montague and his Toyota Tercel. Once a winner here at the Runoffs. Maybe this weekend he'll make it 2. Young gun Keith Grant has won the Midwest Division Championship, 3 victories in national competition. He, too, searching for his first win here at the Runoffs. He's very quick. He'll certainly be a driver to watch. One driver who has won multiple championships here in this category, standing by with Johnny O'Connell.
That's right, Rick. I'm here with Wilson Wright Jr. He's last year's winner here at the Runoffs. But you know what? He's won in this category 2 other national championships. Obviously, the guy's real quick, knows how to get it done at Mid-Ohio. But Jamie Hausman over here, he's also won in this division in 2001. And along with that, he's got 2 other national championships. He knows how to get it done at the big races. Finally, we have Hubert Dupre. He also has won 2 national championships in the Runoffs, 91 and 93. These 3 guys together, 8 national championships. This weekend, it's going to be a great fight to see who gets this year.
And we are at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course in Lexington, Ohio. Coverage of the SCCA's National Championships. It's the 40th Valvoline Runoffs. And you're watching it, of course, on Speed. With GTS star Johnny O'Connell, I'm Rick Benjamin. Ryan Till, Sandy Heng on pit road for us today. Coverage of the Grand Touring 4 category. 20 laps, 45 miles around Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Should be quite a battle, Johnny. These are real race cars.
They really are. You know, the GT4 cars are very much it's a silhouette series, but the cars themselves underneath, tube frame, purpose-built for racing, and we're going to see some great racing today.
Show you the track map. Take you around this beautiful layout at Mid-Ohio. 13 curves, 2.25 miles is the distance. The starting line, the finish line, not in the same place. Johnny, a tough racetrack.
It really is, but the key areas that we're going to be watching today are right here going into turn 2. You'll see a lot of passing there, and also at the end of the straightaway, turn 4. As you go through, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way to 13, that's ideally single lap stuff, but it's always interesting because 4 or 5 laps into the race, you see a lot of guys getting creative.
Well, GT4 full of past champions, 27 drivers set to take the green here. Grant on the pole, we saw him earlier. Michael Mazziotti alongside. Montague and Wright are past champions, as is Hausman. There's Hubert Dupre in the 47. He starts 7th. Bill Davidson and Thomas Drake in the 6th row. Lance Stout, who we talked about earlier, he's a regional champ this year with Douglas Root-Roth. Bill Partridge in 21st. Stan Zaki, William Pintar, Ron Copeland, John Burke rounds out the field, 27 cars strong. Back downstairs, Brian Till.
Rick and Johnny, you guys called it. These are real race cars and they make a real noise. But when you see this 89 Toyota Tercel come driving by, some of the noise you may hear will be from inside this car. That's because Rusty Bell, the driver, he's one of the regular track PA announcers. He's used to screaming about the cars as they come driving by. So listen as Rusty Bell goes driving by. But of course, Rusty, not the only story in this paddock. Sandy Heng, you got some stories where you are too.
Well, you've been talking about all these veterans and former champions in this race. Mike Mazziotti is a newbie. He's a first-timer here at the Runoffs. Qualified 2nd place. He's had his share of heartaches, though. They have changed engines. He had a special engine just for the Runoffs. That went kaput. Put his season-long race engine in. He's hoping it'll be good for the race.
Now, that's a tough break to lose a motor here and have to change engines. But Mazziotti qualified 2nd in the 55 car. He'll drive that Honda Civic CRX from outside pole. We'll be back for the start of the GT4 battle at Mid-Ohio. Our Speed Channel coverage of the 40th anniversary SCCA National Championship Runoffs being brought to you today by Valvoline. Valvoline, the #1 choice of Top Mechanics. And welcome back to Mid-Ohio. Cars on the racetrack. The GT4 battle getting set to unfold. Johnny, we mentioned thoroughbred race cars.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, these are serious cars, purpose-built, highly modified silhouette replicas. I mean, basically, you know, they equalize the class by if you got a car with a little bit more horsepower, you carry a little bit more weight. But these are serious race cars, and these guys are serious racers.
Just before we go green, let's check in downstairs. First to Brian Till.
Well, you talk about the depth of the field and the experience. No fewer than 5 past GT4 national champions in this class. Warren Montague, Wilson Wright, Jamie Hausman, Hubert Dupree, Juan Montalvo Jr. 9 national GT4 championships between those 5 drivers. The competition should be great.
Sandy Hang.
Well, one thing you want to remember when we watch them take the green, they practiced this morning. Yes, they had that opportunity, but when they practiced, it was pouring down rain. They didn't have an opportunity to do any last-minute finesse with tire situations and setups. They had to go with something they had earlier this week. So that will be a factor on some of these guys in the race, especially the new ones, like Mike Mazziotti that we met earlier.
And Johnny, that change from wet to dry, certainly a challenge for these teams.
Huge. I mean, all the water that we had this morning, you know, it was really interesting because a lot of the drivers chose not to go out because, you know, they were expecting for the hurricane to move on through, and so they didn't go out. But the interesting thing that I saw when I was out there watching, the 2 really fast guys, Keith Grant and Wilson Wright, were flying compared to everyone else out there, and that always gives you a lot of confidence when you're fast in the wet and then you go to a dry racetrack. You feel really good about life.
That's Keith Grant's car. He'll be the pole sitter, the white machine with the purple top. That's car number 10. Mazziotti in the 55 will line up alongside. The weather now pretty darn pleasant here. Temperature in the middle 70s. We do have some cloud cover. We showed you a couple of places a moment ago. The early rain, there's some mud right at the edge of the racetrack and now some dirt up on the surface.
The track's going to be real fast because it's cool. The engine's like that. The brakes like that. Everything about, you know, these cars right now is working towards their advantage. The tires are going to like it. One thing you don't like, if you fall off right now onto that grass, it's going to be like ice. You're going for a ride.
Grant in the white car, Mazziotti in the red 55. Grant was leading here a year ago before he gave up the point. Very late in the going. We're back underway, or we are underway, taking the initial green flag. GT4, the runoffs here on speed. And it's Grant down into turn 4 with the lead.
Mazziotti doing a nice job just holding in a second. Who's that off? To car number 11.
One car in the wall. Could be the 17 of Howard Gerstein. We'll try to get a look next time by.
You know, it's so funny because people watching, they see guys making mistakes going into that first corner and falling off, and they're like, how the heck does that happen? But again, remember, these tires aren't up to temperature, brakes aren't to temperature. Of course, that's Howard Gerstein.
Getting some help from the corner workers, getting back on the racetrack, but he gives a tremendous amount of track position. Here's another look going up the hill.
You know, going through 4, it actually doesn't look like he had any help there. He might have been leaning on that car a little bit, but again, low tire pressure, low tire temperature. It's really easy to rotate these cars.
And off in the mud, as we were talking about earlier. And look at, he's still beached, still unable to get going. Now lights the tires up and drives that Nissan away.
And he's probably kicking himself right now for having to start like that.
Battle for second spot. Warren Montague in the 32.
Oh, but look at that, beautiful coming right back to the inside.
Mazziotti in the 55 in that Honda. So you've got a Honda battling 4th position there. Montague wheels the Toyota.
Yeah, Montague, though, has got the better position here going into turn 2. Runs it in pretty wide.
Won the championship 7 years ago. Here comes Mazziotti. Backup motor in the 55 car. 4th spot is Steven Spires in the 90. Meantime, Keith Grant in car number 10 has opened up a substantial lead after 1 lap.
And this is cool because you can really see how well these 2 cars compare on top end. It's going to come down to who's got the bigger set coming in there. Oh,
that would be the bigger set of brakes, right? Mazziotti on them hard.
Oh, my God, look at Montague countering. That was beautiful.
Montague with the outside move. That's experience.
Well, it was, but you know, you saw, Montague get in there and lock the rears a little bit, lose control. And Mazziotti locked the rears. Montague went by.
So Warren Montague up into 2nd spot, a former national champion in this category. Back in 1996, Michael Mazziotti, a regional champion this year, looking for his first gold medal at these runoffs. As Sandy told us, a newbie. in this event. Keith Grant, though, with a substantial lead in car number 10. Here's another look as they headed toward 4.
And right here you see Mazziotti on the inside, and watch, lock the rears just a little bit right there. He's got to straighten his car out. Now you watch Montague pick up a later apex, shoot on by. Right there, Mazziotti's doing everything he can do just to stay on the island. It was beautiful racing by both of them. No contact. That's what you like to see. But the guy that's digging this right now is Keith Grant. Anytime you look in your mirror and you see second and third fighting it out, you know you push hard, nice clean laps, you can get that gap that you want.
Grant is from Cordova, Tennessee. As we watch the battle a little further back, Montague second, Mazziotti third. Sandy Hang, the Mazziotti bunch, they had a close call there a moment ago.
Well, they did have a close call. This is Burt Young, who is their crew chief, and I know Mazziotti said this is his first time at the runoffs, but he seemed to handle that pretty well.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. You know, not much has rattled him. He spent a lot of time in club racing, so yeah, the runoffs is really a big deal, but he's run a lot of big races. He's run Motorola Cup events, ran a whole season 2 years ago, so he's got a lot of experience under his belt.
The split's gotten bigger here between second and third. Is he just writing it out, or is he saying anything on the radio?
Oh, he doesn't talk to me on the radio. I just give him information on splits and times and stuff like that. I would suspect that he's just playing a little bit of a game, conserving his tires. So that he has something at the end for him, I guess, huh?
Okay, that's Burt Young. He's here with Mike Mazziotti.
18 laps to go. Mazziotti runs third. He's about 0.8 of a second behind Warren Montague in second. Johnny, we saw some great battling for fourth back through 8th, and here comes that pack of 4 cars under the bridge.
Unbelievable. I mean, you got Houseman, who seems to have the top end over Wright, and Wright really good in the corners, and these guys are leaning on each other so hard. Spires right there. You know, I think he's doing everything he can just to keep a nice clean line and keep Wilson Wright behind him, but Wright right now is on fire again. Remember, he was really strong this morning in the warm-up, and he doesn't want to see Keith Grant get away from him. He wants another title.
Wright is the defending national champion in that orange number 9. Qualified fourth, backpedaled back to 8th. He's climbed back to 5th, right behind Spires, trying to get back where he qualified. The 33 of Jamie Hausman, another strong contender here. Hausman's right with him in 6th, and Hubert Dupree, a former national champion, in 7th spot in that number 47. Right now, the 90 of Spires holding on to 4th spot. Wilson Wright to the inside as they come off the keyhole, making the run down to turn 4. Here comes Dupree. And Hausman, 3 wide, and it's Hausman with a big move.
Man, Hausman's got the giddy up there. Now watch Wilson right here going into the braking zone. That's where he's really strong. He got Dupree behind him in the orange car there. The Dago car. I'm sorry about that. But right now it looks like Hausman's weak on the brakes, strong on the acceleration, weak on the brakes.
That 4-car battle, Jamie Hausman emerges in 4th position. Keith Grant, though, leads. 3 laps are complete. We'll be back with more.
A lot of kids grow up around the racetrack. Keith Grant watched his father win in 1990 in G4 in this car. He even jumped on the car with his dad for the victory lap. Now Keith is campaigning his dad's car, and his dad is riding a GT1. What's this like to be in your dad's car?
It's been a lot of fun this year. The car's a lot of fun to drive, and it's really quick, and it's nice knowing that the car already has 1 championship from 1990, and I won't forget that day riding the victory lap down at Road Atlanta several years ago.
And Richard, what's this like being able to share racing, this hobby, with your son?
Oh, it's great having your sons interested in the same hobby you've been enjoying for 30 years, and we enjoy working on the cars together and going through all the races together with their families.
And if you look right around the corner, the 3rd generation of Grant is already getting behind the wheel.
Keith's youngest here at Mid-Ohio. There's the 10 car. That's the way to do it. Pass it on from fathers to their children.
I'm wondering, man, he got a redhead. How come I didn't get a redhead?
Don't ask me.
There's more milkman jokes coming my way for sure, but we know with red hair, he's got to be able to drive well.
Richard Grant will see in that Corvette and GT1 a little later on this weekend. Keith Grant with a big lead, almost a 3-second advantage now as they head toward the carousel.
And doing a beautiful job. You know, you watch him, he's nice and smooth, and he's hitting his marks. You know, when I'm driving, I got my crew on the radio, and if you're in a position where you're doing well, they're just saying to you, just hit your marks, meaning hit your braking points, hit your apexes, hit your exits. And that, you know, you don't have a whole lot to think about when you're leading. You just don't make a mistake. Nice and clean. And Brian, maybe you have a comment for us.
Well, Scott Fritchley is the crew chief for J. Warren Montague, and Scott, pretty bold move on Mazziotti so early on in the race there into 1.
We've been in front of him all season. We've got a good Toyota, a Steve Cole chassis, and a fabulous driver, and it doesn't get much better than that.
Oh my God, he said a Steve Cole chassis. Johnny O, did you hear that? I know he engineers for you. He used to engineer for me.
A few years.
Let's take me back a few years. You got the legs to catch the guys in front?
Yeah, I think so. We can do it.
A lot of confidence down here. A lot of confidence in Steve Cole there, Johnny O.
You know what? I've won a whole lot of races with Steve Cole now. He gets a little grouchy to me all the time, but you know, a guy can get as grouchy as he wants to me as long as he gives me a good race car, and obviously that 32 car is working pretty darn well today.
The Keith Grant has set sail 2 seconds out in front of Montague in that 32. Mazziotti runs in 3rd spot. They come up under the Honda Bridge, and here's Grant. Second generation star. You heard Sandy tell us earlier. Richard Grant won a championship in that car back in 1990. This is for 5th position. Steven Spires in the 90 has the spot. Hubert Dupree and Wilson Wright are right there, right in 6th in the 9. Dupree in 7th spot. Wilson Wright, Johnny, for a defending champ, he's having his problems here getting going.
You know what? And it was that opening lap. He didn't get the start that he needed. I mean, you know, the always thing. You know,
look at Dupree making the pass.
And he sticks it. Really nice job by Dupree. But you know what? The qualifying, you know, is always important. And at the start of the race, you just don't want to lose positions. And that's what happened to Wilson Wright. He lost positions at the start. And passing here in Mid-Ohio is so difficult. And right now, what these guys have been doing the past couple laps is figuring out where they're strong versus their competitors, making the moves. And right there, you saw, you know, Hubert Dupree finding out where he's stronger against Wright, taking advantage of it.
Well, Wilson Wright has 3 of these GT4 championships in the book. Doesn't look as though he'll pick up his 4th here today. Dupree, a past champion on the 47, moving by, gaining a spot up to 6th position.
But look at that right there.
Wow, good inside move.
Going to the inside, but Dupree gave that to him. I mean, there was not that big of an advantage going into the keyhole there by being out wide like Dupree was. And so he really telegraphed, you know, to Wilson, you know, go ahead, pass me. And being the racer that Wright is, you know, he threw it in there, but Dupree fighting back.
Is that a case of Dupree not hitting his mark, maybe braking incorrectly there?
You know what? I think he was taking Wright for granted, and that's it, not realizing that Wright's going to run it in there that deep. So it was a mistake on Hubert's part, and Wilson saw an opportunity, jumped on it. So, you know, I mean, he might be out of the fight as far as winning right now, unless he gets a yellow or something, but there's certainly a lot of aggressiveness in him, and he's still driving like he's wanting to win.
Wilson Wright back up in 6th position. 7th now to Hubert Dupree. Spires is 5th. But Keith Grant has the lead by 2.2 seconds. There's his dad, Richard. Will drive his GT1 car later in the weekend here in Mid-Ohio. The 40th anniversary SCCA Valvoline Runoffs here on Speed, watching GT4 action. These, of course, purpose-built race cars, racing chassis and tires, and motors that have been heavily worked on. And a very entertaining classic car, Johnny O'Connell.
Always is. And you know what? You see a lot of guys early in the careers right now, like we're watching today. Keith Grant, a young guy who I'm sure has larger aspirations. He's learning his craft. But right here, you come to the runoffs, it's your Super Bowl, it's your Indy 500. There's nothing like being able to win the big one, to get your confidence up, to carry you through your career. There are so many top professional drivers, you could go down the list, who started here, learned all their craft, and then went on to bigger and greater things.
And I would think with that big lead, we'll talk about that in a moment, a battle for position a little further back. 9th and 10th, Lance Stout into 6th, giving up the spot to Keith Gillespie in that red machine, the 13. Good inside move.
Gillespie looking very strong there. That Nissan, of course, in the hands of Lance Stout, also doing real nice. I watched them in the yesterday's session, and the car's beautiful. I mean, it goes through the corners well, and I don't know where their weakness is, why they didn't qualify a little bit further up the grid, because it looks like it's a really nice package.
Well, with the heavily regulated motors, I would think an advantage of a couple of horsepower could tell a huge difference.
Big deal. I mean, it's a funny thing. People don't really always understand or appreciate just how important weight and horsepower are. I mean, you know, again, my car's is over 600 horsepower car. You know, they make a big deal about 5 pounds. Well, in a car this size, you know, any weight whatsoever is very important. As we see right here, looks like
now
Dupree.
The 13, Dupree slowing down. The 13 car of Gillespie going by him. Dupree was up in 7th.
He's got a problem there because he was up there, you know, fighting with Wright before, and he's falling back. So I don't know whether he's got a gearbox problem or what's going on there. But Hubert Dupree obviously not running up to speed that he was previously.
Dupree back in 9th that time. Gillespie had gotten by him for that spot. Juan Montalvo's on the move in the 08. He's up to 7th now. He had not really been in the hunt in the previous 7 laps. We're putting lap 8 on the board right now of 20 here in Mid-Ohio. And there is Dupree, former national champion, twice over in GT4. But today, not a day he will remember fondly, I'm sure.
And you don't know whether it's fatigue or not. I mean, watching him go through that corner right there, you saw him well off the line. I mean, he was 5 or 6, feet from his apex. And really, you know what, especially in turn 2 there, you've got to be so precise and tight with your line, because if you're out of that corner fast, it multiplies itself down the straightaway. If you're wide, like Hubert was right there, well, then it's just the opposite. I mean, your straightaway speed is not going to be as high.
And we've seen him offline in the keyhole a couple of different times today. Meantime, Keith Grant, 8 laps on the board. He's led all the way from the pole. Last year, he was involved in quite a battle and coughed up the lead late in the going. Sandy Hang, the Grant family, I'm sure a little early to pop the champagne cork, but they've got to be excited.
Well, they are excited. Richard, his father, is here watching. What is this like for you to watch him in your car?
Well, it's pretty nerve-wracking, not because of his ability. I know he can do the job because he's doing a real good job, and ever since he started racing. The only thing that bothers you is I've been doing this so many years, I know of what all can go wrong. And, you never know what's going to happen in a race. I don't care how fast you are.
So you're not ready to call it?
Pardon?
You're not ready to say it's over?
I'm not ready to call him national champion yet.
Okay, that's his dad, Richard. He also has his wife here, Kim, and his mother, Karen, here in pit lane. Of course, little Connor couldn't be here, but they're all cheering for Keith.
Keith Grant down the backstretch, headed toward turn 4. Big lead. 3.2 seconds last time by. He's building the lead over Warren Montague every lap, Johnny.
Doing a beautiful job, nice, clean, and smooth. And it's always funny because when you see a father that races and they watch their son racing, you just have. I can't even begin to imagine how difficult it is for that to happen. As we see right here, it looks like Mazziotti is got a little bit of a problem. He's smoking there. Hard to tell what it is. But if you're Jamie Houseman and you're behind him and your crew's giving you that information, that's just kind of like, that's like the blood to the sharks, because it makes you push harder and try to run down.
Little extra incentive. The 55 of Mazziotti still third. 10 seconds behind the leader, Keith Grant. Crews are at the ready on pit wall. GT4 is on the track, and we'll be back.
You may not think of Formula One technology when you look at this GT4 Ford Fiesta, but the man behind this car, the man that sits in the seat, certainly has that type of experience. Bill Davidson, you've gotten to see things in your racing career that people in this paddock would kill for.
Yes, Brian, that's right. Back in '97, I was resident engineer over at Cosworth in England, supporting the Stewart Formula One team, basically with engine development, and did some traveling with the team. It'd be probably wrong to say I learned to do a lot with a little, but I certainly got a few ideas from that experience that have helped me in my own racing.
Well, the technology aspect is certainly fun, but you don't need to have the technology to have fun. Ask Bill Davidson. He has fun in this GT4 car.
Davidson in 12th position. Boy, you don't see many Ford Fiestas on the racetrack anymore.
He's doing a nice job with what he's got just to keep the thing running. But if you watch right there, notice how he didn't get to his apex. He didn't use all the road. When you watch Keith Grant and Warren Montague, you'll see they're using everything they got.
We are halfway in the GT4 battle. The SCCA's Valvoline Runoffs. Here's the 55 of Michael Mazziotti, continuing to fall off the pace compared to the leader. Now 11.5 seconds back. A little smoke showing from the 55, Johnny, but he's got his foot in it. He thinks, hey, I can still get the bronze medal here.
He's pushing as hard as he can, but he's got about, he's losing about 2 seconds a lap to those guys running at the front. And maybe, Brian Till, you've got something to add to this.
Burt Young is the crew chief for Michael Mazziotti. All right, Burt, we're seeing some smoke out there. What's the deal?
Well, first we thought Michael forgot to empty the ashtray before he made his run, but we've got a little bit of a problem. We've got him stabilized in third. We're watching fourth place and keeping him advised of where Jamie is and if Jamie's coming up on him. So we may be looking to hold on here.
You're looking to hold on to a podium and forget the win?
Damn right.
You heard it, guys. We're looking for a podium. Sometimes you got to settle for what you get.
Well, Mazziotti still has a 6-second advantage over Jamie Houseman in the 33 car, who's back in fourth position. And Johnny, with 11 laps on the board, less than 9 to go now. And he's watching the gauges. He's listening to everything. What's going through his mind?
Well, he knows what his lead is, and he's trying to just do the best that he can to save his car, but still go fast, and you have no idea how difficult that is. It's like being, in a race and the guy's getting on the radio and telling you to save fuel while some guy's chewing on your butt. It's very difficult to do, but you've just got to relax, focus, and get the job done. And so far, Mazziotti's able to do that.
Watching the battle for 17th, David Dobry in the 40 car, Stan Zaki in the 71. Right behind him there in the 43, also in the mix, that's Joe Zingaro, who was shown 15th the last time by. Dobry in the 40 has made a big move. He's gotten by a couple of cars here as we put 12 laps on the board. Down the front straightaway, the pit straightaway here. And the scoring reshuffles. Dobry now up to 16th. Zingaro in the 43 back to 17th. Juan Montalvo Sr. is 15th in car number 26. So you've got a good scramble back there. 15th back to about 18th spot.
Well, one of the coolest thing about this type of racing is the different manufacturer involvement, the different styles of cars, and the fact that you're seeing some old cars out there. You know, to me, that kind of looks like it's an old 510 there, even though it says Nissan. You're going back to the Datsun.
That's a Datsun.
That is a Datsun. And the fact that, you know, these cars are able to stay competitive over the life there, you know, of the car. Keith Grant running a car that his father used to race in.
Sure.
That says a lot about what they do in the SCCA to maintain a lot of parity amongst all the competitors, still put on a good show and still make it reasonable for these guys to afford these cars.
And that 40 car, David Dobry from Plymouth, Michigan, that's a Toyota Corolla. Talk about a car you don't see very often on the racetrack. Keith Grant is out in front. Montague and Mazziotti, the rest of the top three. 8 to go at Mid-Ohio. 8 laps remain. Let's show you how we got to this point. Early in the going, one car in trouble as they headed up the hill toward the S's. That was the 17 car into the wall. There's been some very tight racing. This is Montague and the car of Mazziotti going for second. Mazziotti got the advantage. Montague right back by him. Close going in the early laps. A little later on, more contact up in the keyhole. It's been a day where it's a little hard to stay on course for some of these guys. But there have been no problems at all for your race leader. Keith Grant has led all 13 laps so far. Johnny O, he's got a 3.6 second advantage.
You know, and that seems like a lot, and it is. But, you know, again, we've got a long way to go. And the wild thing is that these guys are going to be coming up to traffic now. Once you get to traffic, all bets are off. Anything can happen. And usually it's easier for the second guy coming through traffic because the guy who's being lapped, he's not looking to get lapped. And quite often they miss that blue flag.
Keith Grant of that Nissan, car number 10, has led from the drop of the green here. The gap back. Oh, in trouble for the 47. Hubert Dupree had fallen off the pace. He spun and tried to get that car back up on the racetrack. Dupree was up in the top 5 earlier. Forces the 40 car of Dobry to lock up the brakes.
Oh, that was just right.
Oh, and he's going to spin on the wet grass.
That gives you an idea just how wet that grass really is.
You pay a big price if you go off in these conditions.
Very much so. And you know what you saw right there is he came over the hill, Dobry did, saw Dupree, locked the brakes, and once you lock those front tires, you're going straight. Now, all these cars have an adjustable brake bias, and ideally you're setting them just so that maybe the rears lock a little bit before the fronts. As you see right there what happened with Dupree. Dobry should be coming up here in a second, and you watch him.
First car gets by okay. Yeah. Watch the white car now.
A couple guys get by there, actually.
This is where the problems began.
Boom, locks the front tires, boom. Car goes straight off.
Just missed the concrete barrier there.
Yeah, that was lucky for him.
And the 84 car in trouble as well. Take a look, actually the 08 we should say, going down into the keyhole.
Everything actually.
That's Juan Montalvo.
Right there.
Yeah. Montalvo Jr.
Just a little bit slow getting into the gas there again. Remember, that's a front-wheel drive car, so if he was on the gas, it probably wouldn't have come around.
Montalvo Jr. was running 5th. Champion here 11 years ago in GT4. But perhaps on his way to a podium battle, at least, and problems in that race car. He will not be around at the finish. Juan Montalvo Sr. in the 26 car, chasing the 34 Bill Partridge. This is a battle for 11th.
That's a pretty good race that these guys are working right now. Montalvo obviously probably knows that Junior's off. Ball's in his court.
Downhill through the S's. Partridge with about a 6/10 of a second lead over Montalvo Sr. last time by, but this is one of the best races on the track right now, coming up on 5 laps to go.
Watching him go through turn number 11 there. It's one of the more difficult corners on this racetrack, and there are so many of these hard race corners on this racetrack, but very fast, second fastest only to to turn number 1. And Sandy, you have something for us?
Well, real quick, Lance Stout started 13th. There's not a mark on this car. Obviously, Lance, it was something else. He is now out of the race. Lance?
Well, I wish I really knew what happened. When we put the thing in the trailer in Portland, it was an absolute rocket. But for the last week and a half, we've been fighting fuel delivery issues, and I think it's electronics. But it was really good for about 6 laps, I guess, but it was running out of fuel, so I just had to stop.
Okay, that's Lance Stout. Also an update on 2 other cars, the 47 and 33 Hausman. Those guys went right back to their pit garage area without even saying what was wrong. They are both off the track.
Tough break for a lot of these competitors who have tons of experience at GT4. Keith Grant, one of the young guns in the category, has a 5-second lead. 5 to go at Mid-Ohio. We'll be back with more of the runoffs. Welcome back. The SCCA's Valvoline Runoffs here on Speed with Johnny O'Connell. I'm Rick Benjamin, Brian Till, and Sandy Hanger in the paddock area. Pit road for us today. Keith Grant starting to lap some slower cars. He'll get the 4 to go sign next time by. 5.5 seconds the advantage over Warren Montague. And Jenny, earlier as we watched Dobry and the 55 car Michael Mazziotti getting together on the racetrack, Mazziotti gets by. He's still 3rd. Dobry in the 40 went off a while ago. This is a time, I guess, when if this was an oval track race, you'd hear guys say, hey, we're racing the racetrack. Is that what they're doing now?
Well, very much so. I mean, right now, Grant, of course, he's got a over 5-second lead, and so he's looking after his car, trying to be as smooth as he can. You know, Mazziotti, he's looking after his car. So right now, you know, because of the gap between all these cars, guys are looking after their stuff and just really at this stage trying to bring it home.
Watching Mazziotti in that 55, that has got to be an oiling problem. That is oil smoke definitely out the back of that car.
Well, and you worry about it when it starts getting real bad. You wonder whether or not you might get black flagged or call off the racetrack. And so, you know, again, it's try as hard as you can, still look after your stuff, knowing darn well that Keith Gillespie, you know, his crew is giving him the information that Mazziotti's got a problem.
And your leader continues to be Grant, 5.5 seconds ahead of Warren Montague. A moment ago, you saw the 55 car, Dobry, getting lapped as 13th, so only 12 cars remain on the lead lap. Let's get more from pit road. Brian Till.
Well, I'm down in the pits of Steven Spears, and I'm down here, and his wife Diane Spears, what she uses to help keep track of what's going on is this. No, it's not a Game Boy. Yeah, it is a Game Boy, I should say, but it's got this piece stuck in where the game goes. It's called iCard, and what it gives them is timing and scoring, just like they see it up in the timing and scoring area. She's able to look at splits and lap times and everything else and keep her husband Steven apprised as to what's going on between an entry list, split intervals, and lap times she has written down. It's the Game Boy and the iCard, and that's how she keeps track of what's going on the racetrack. Johnny, Rick?
Yeah, we got that iCard system in American Le Mans last year, Johnny, and that's quite a help.
It is totally cool. You know, all the teams have them. You know, they're little Game Boys. It's kind of funny to see all these professional race teams running around with different color Game Boys. But, man, they're awesome. They get all the information that you want when you want it.
3 laps remain for Keith Grant out of Cordova, Tennessee, the Midwest region, and the Mid-South division of the Midwest, representing that area of the country.
You know, and he's doing it right because he's making it look easy. Now, ideally, a guy wants, you know, his national runoff win. He wants a guy all over his back, so he's on TV all the time and all that kind of stuff. But right now, he's putting on a very dominant professional performance, kid that can go somewhere.
Grant was so close to the win a year ago, couldn't get the job completed. This might be his day. Montague and Mazziotti still in contention for medals. We'll be back. Back on Speed with coverage of the GT4 category, the SCCA's Valvoline Runoffs. The 34 car, which was running 9th in the hands of Bill Partridge. He's off the racetrack with that Nissan, Johnny. Close to the end. A tough break.
You know, so frustrating. And again, these guys think all year, they work all year, you know, and so hard all year for this one event. To get a DNF, man, that's crushing. But, you know, he was doing a super job working his way to the front.
So Partridge unbuckling, drops to window net. He is fine, but the car will not make it to the checkered flag here today. Keith Grant in that car, number 10, a 200 SX Nissan that his dad Richard took to victory lane here many years ago. And Richard will be in action in GT1 with a Corvette that he purchased from Tom Gloy's team a year ago. It's a former Trans Am car, as are many of the GT1 machines. And that sense of pride that you could hear in Richard Grant's voice earlier. What a great day it'll be for this family-run team if Keith can go to victory lane in the car his dad won with here back in 1990.
Well, I mean, look at that car. Look at how professional, tuned out it is. It's a nice looking car, and the kid's doing a great job driving it.
Joseph Tenney sitting 7th or was 7th a moment ago in the Trans Settlements Toyota, but he's had a problem. He's fallen back a couple of spots. We're being told that he has gone around in that car. I believe we'll be able to show it to you in a moment. The 85 car up in the top 10 still, but here's where he got in trouble.
Yeah, you know, that's the exit of 12 and 13, which is a very unusual place to spin, so you don't know whether there's something down on the racetrack or maybe got way offline. You know, a lot of times you get this deep into the race, you know, only a couple laps to go, and for a lot of these guys, you know, driving half an hour, that's a workout.
Yeah.
I mean, especially when your adrenaline's going so high, you know, you're pressuring yourself so much, and it's always towards the end of the race that guys that are fatiguing are going to make their mistakes because they don't have the grip that they do earlier in the race, they don't have the brakes that they have earlier in the race, and right there you can see turn 12 does look a little bit slippery.
For many of the regions in the country in SCCA competition, the national events in your region might only be 6. You might only run 10 races a year.
Oh yeah, I mean, there are guys here that I know have run 3-4 races this year, and
it's hard to be sharp.
It's hard to be, you know, sharp physically and mentally. You got to, you know, the more laps you do, the stronger you're going to be.
White flag over Keith Grant in car number 10. Just has to keep it between the white lines for another couple of miles, and he'll have his first ever gold medal at the runoffs.
Yeah, but he's got traffic in front of him, and that's the last thing he wants to see. He wants this last lap to be nice and clean, as pretty as possible. Hopefully he'll get all these cars in the right part of the racetrack.
Moving up on the 90 car. And that car, that Fiesta, will move over and give Grant plenty of room. Montague 9 seconds back in the 32 car. As we take a look down the straightaway, a couple of cars are off. Here's Montague in second spot. Former national champion. It looks like he will have a silver medal to his credit after today's run.
You know what, and Warren also did his, and we've not spoken about him a whole lot other than the little battle he had going with Mazziotti. He also has had a really good run. His lap times have been good, but again, he lost touch early when he was battling with Mazziotti, and so often in these national championship races, you see if that guy can get a break early, it's game over from that point on.
And it really is a case. The cars are so evenly matched in terms of horsepower. If you get behind because of something that's happened on the racetrack, catching up is almost impossible in 20 laps.
So difficult.
The Grant family. That's Keith's wife looking on from the pit wall, heading to the final couple of turns through the carousel here in Mid-Ohio. Keith Grant in car number 10, about to score a flag-to-flag victory and take his first gold medal at the runoffs in GT4. And he is your winner. His mom waving from the pit wall as well. Keith Grant is the winner in car number 10. Warren Montague gets second spot in car number 32. Michael Mazziotti trying to hang on in that 55 car that's been putting down the oil smoke as Grant will wave to the fans on the cool down lap. And he will win by 8 seconds today.
Beautiful job.
Terrific run.
Just a very nice professional job, no mistakes. Took the lead at the start, never looked back. The guys behind him did a little bit of battle, stretched it out, but I mean, he was like clockwork all race long, so an awesome job by him.
So Keith Grant in car number 10, a flag-to-flag winner after the disappointment of what happened a year ago. He was so close. This year closes the deal. And he and his dad will have an opportunity to do something I'm told has never been done at these runoffs, Johnny, and that's have a father and son win on the same weekend. Richard is a former champion. Now Keith joins him with that honor, but Richard will do battle here in GT1 a little bit later on. Let's bring in Sandy Hank.
Right now I'm with the family. This is Karen, his mother, and Kim. A lot of excitement here. First, Karen.
Oh, I'm very proud of Keith, and he's just done an excellent job. He's done well all year, and this is really culminating the whole year with all we could ask for.
And you were jumping and hollering the entire last lap.
Well, yes. Yes, I was, because last year I was hoping he got second. I was hoping he'd get first, and he's pulled it out this year, and I'm very proud of him.
And Kim, I see you've got Connor right over there by the fence. He can't come onto pit lane, but he's sure watching.
This is fun. He's worked hard, and he deserves it.
Are you going to hop in the car for the victory lap?
Yes, I'm going to ride victory lap when he comes through.
Oh, that's Kim, Keith's wife. They're all headed down to take that checkered flag.
Oh, look at the tears in her eyes from Cordova, Tennessee. What a great feeling for that family. Brian Till.
Scott Fridgley, the crew chief with Jay Warren and Montague. It's metal, but it's not gold, but I still see some smiles down here.
It works. It was they capped off a good season. We were undefeated this year once again, and what can you say? It was a good week.
Well, and that's what makes the runoff so great. You know, the guys come and they run, they have a good time, and even sometimes second place, It may not be the best, but it still works, guys.
Warren Montague from Mannequin Sabot, Virginia finishes second. He will collect the silver medal. We will take a timeout and come back with more coverage of the SCCA's Valvoline runoffs. We'll talk to the winner in GT4 right after this. Our Speed Channel coverage of the 40th anniversary SCCA National Championship runoffs being brought to you today by Valvoline. Valvoline, the #1 choice of top mechanics. With Johnny O'Connell, I'm Rick Benjamin. We'll show you the top 5 in GT4. The checkered flag just falling over Keith Grant. His first ever victory at these runoffs. Warren Montague, a past champion, gets second. Michael Mazziotti with a car that looked like it was not going to make it to the end gets third. Keith Gillespie, Steven Spires, the rest of the top 5. Here's Sandy Hank.
Right now we're here with Keith. His wife Kim is putting on the medal. Oh, what a wonderful moment. It is hot in this cockpit.
Yes, it is. It's a lot of fun. Was able to maintain consistency the whole time and able to put a gap between me and Warren, fortunately, but good race. It was a lot of fun.
It's so much different than the year before, really, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's a lot easier. Last time I was dragging a bumper last year and it slowed me down 400 or 500 RPMs on the straightaway. This year I didn't have that problem and was able to maintain a fast pace like I wanted to.
Look at Kim trying to climb in here. She wants to hold that checkered flag. You know, your son Connor was actually on the other side of the fence. He was watching your mother and your wife cheer.
Put your hand right here. That's where you hold on.
Okay.
You ready for a ride, Kim?
I'm ready.
Okay.
That's your national champion right there, Keith Grant and his wife Kim, about ready to take their victory lap. Let's go down to Brian Till. Brian?
A lot of celebration down there, but a lot of celebration down here too. I know, Warren Montague, you've tasted gold before in this class in 1996, but it looked like today maybe you just didn't have the legs.
I really didn't. I didn't have the motor to keep up with Keith. Handling was pretty good, but Keith just kind of ran away from me on the straightaways. So it was a lot of fun. The track got a little slick, but those Goodyear tires held in great, and Scott Fritchley's motor was incredible. I mean, it just pulled all day long.
I know you guys, I mean, everybody here at the runoffs has struggled with varying track conditions. That's just part of the runoffs, but the track has changed a lot for you guys. Last time you were on it, it was soaking wet, and now it was dry. Did that have any impact on how you got the car set up?
It did. We made adjustments all weekend long, and fortunately I have a cockpit adjustable suspension, so I was able to tweak it as the race went on to keep it relatively quick. I just didn't have the motor for Keith.
Just no substitute for straight line speed?
Absolutely.
Well, they say it's not how fast you go, it's how fast you go fast, but you still have to have the speed down the straightaway, Rick.
Warren Montague, though, still with a very impressive day.
You know, he did an awesome job, and, you know, all 3 of our top finishers, great job. But Keith Grant, man, he put it together this year, and that's why he's running around.
And his bride riding along in car number 10, carrying the checkered flag. Mazziotti third. Gillespie inspires the rest of the top 5. Wilson Wright in that 9 car. Thought he'd be a contender today. He wasn't nearly quick enough.
Well, you know what? And we did the race, you know, that little bit before the start of the race. We had so many past champions in this class that it wasn't surprising to see more of them closer to the front. But there's a new kid in town, and man, he showed them how it's done.
David Dobry with a nice 12th, even though he spun and went off the racetrack, nearly hit the wall. Lance Stout, who we thought would be a contender in the 6 car, off early. He finishes 23rd. Let's bring in Brian Till.
Well, Michael Mazziotti had a great run to 3rd. You were in 2nd for a while. Pretty bold move there by Montague to get you in 1, and after that it looked like you just didn't have it. A lot of smoke coming out the back too.
Yeah, we just tried to keep it alive out there. That was about the best we could do. There wasn't anything left to run after Warren, so we stuck it out and kept it alive for 20 laps, and I'm happy with that. Real happy.
Well, sometimes that's what you got to do, guys. Hang on to what you got and get it on the podium. Sandy?
15th to 4th for Gillespie. You were thrashing it around out there.
It was a blast. I was just driving as hard as I could. The car held up. I want to thank my wife and my brothers for holding down the home fort. Thank my sponsors, Haas Sport Performance and Honda Auto Salvage.
And without them, you wouldn't have this 4th place finish here today. And you put on quite a fun show for those of us who were watching.
I had a blast.
Okay, congratulations.
So Keith Gillespie comes home in 4th position. Keith Grant continues with his victory lap, his lap of honor here at Mid-Ohio. Johnny O'Connell, a terrific run for that team, and I'm sure we'll see a lot more from Keith Grant in the months to come.
You know, it really is. I mean, another redhead that's a fast car. I love seeing that, but congratulations to him. Warren, Michael Mazziotti, also incredible jobs.
Hope you've enjoyed our coverage of GT4 here at the SCCA's Valvoline Runoff. Some drivers had difficult afternoons. For others, it was a day of triumph. Everyone will be back. We'll have a long winter to work on these race cars and get ready for the 2004 season. For Johnny O'Connell, Brian Till, Sandy Haig, I'm Rick Benjamin, congratulating your winner, Keith Grant. Thanks for watching the SCCA's Valvoline Runoffs on Speed. We'll talk to you next time.